The rain was falling in thick, cold sheets the night Aaron Miller realized the world had decided he was the wrong man. He stood outside the massive iron gates of the Dalton estate, soaked from head to toe after running straight from his shift at the auto shop, still wearing his oil-stained uniform and carrying a folder that looked too fragile for a storm this heavy. Inside that folder was the only thing that could save his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Her medical reports. Her prescription bills. Her referral letter. And the last hope he had, a written promise from a charity that claimed the billionaire, Nicholas Dalton, personally reviewed cases of families who had fallen through the cracks. But the guard standing at the gate smirked at him, rolling his eyes at the sight of a working-class single dad claiming he had an appointment with one of the richest men in the state. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us humanity still matters, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support keeps these emotional stories alive. The guard, a heavy-set man named Blake, stepped out of his booth with an amused shake of the head. Aaron stood silently, gripping the folder like it was the last anchor in his sinking life. Blake told him he had the wrong place, the wrong time, and probably the wrong idea, thinking a billionaire would bother with a man who fixed cars and lived in a one-bedroom apartment with a sick child. Aaron had heard this tone before, from banks, from hospital clerks, from people who saw the world in divisions of status. But tonight was different. Because this was the last door he could knock on. The rest were already shut. Aaron took a breath. He was exhausted, hungry, drenched, and weighed down with worry. Lily had been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune condition months ago. First came the fatigue, then the fevers, then the swelling in her joints that left her crying at night. He worked 2 jobs just to keep her medicine cabinet filled. But the specialist she needed cost more per visit than he made in a month. The charity had told him Nicholas Dalton admired people who never gave up, but now the guard was telling him he wasn't even allowed inside the gates to drop off his papers. Blake laughed in his face, pointing at his uniform and suggesting billionaires didn't open their doors for guys like him. Something snapped in Aaron, not anger, but resolve. He silently rolled up his sleeve and revealed a faded military tattoo, the kind that only soldiers who had served in combat carried. Beneath it were scars, not the kind one brags about, but the kind life handed out when someone fought to survive. The guard's expression changed instantly, his smug smile flattening into surprise. Aaron didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The scars said everything. He wasn't here for pity, he was here because he'd fought too hard to lose now. Blake stiffened. He muttered something into his radio, glancing at Aaron with a different kind of respect, still cautious, but no longer mocking. Minutes later, the gates groaned open. Aaron stepped inside, feeling the weight of the moment pressing against his chest. The estate was a world he didn't belong in, with marble fountains, sculpted gardens, and glass walls reflecting luxury he had only seen on TV. But he kept moving, each step reminding him of Lily's trembling hands that he held through every fever. Every night she whispered that she didn't want to be a burden, every morning she apologized for missing school even when she was too weak to stand. When Aaron was finally led into the mansion, Nicholas Dalton himself wasn't there, but his personal aide, a sharp-eyed woman named Evelyn Hart, stepped forward to evaluate him. She had the presence of someone who filtered thousands of desperate stories and chose only a few. At first glance, she seemed unimpressed by Aaron's drenched clothes, but something in his eyes made her pause. The silent exhaustion. The quiet strength. The edge of desperation. He handed her the folder with trembling fingers, explaining that he wasn't asking for everything, just enough to give Lily a chance to grow up without pain. Evelyn opened the folder and froze at one page, then another, her brows knitting with every document she read. She excused herself and disappeared for what felt like an hour. Aaron waited alone, the warm luxury of the mansion feeling colder than the rain outside. He wondered if he would be turned away, told politely that the foundation had already reached its limit. He wondered how he would tell Lily that he had failed again. Memories rushed through him, teaching her to ride a bike, braiding her hair for kindergarten, promising her that one day he'd buy her a backyard so she could plant her own little garden. Promises that seemed impossible now. But just when his hope began to crumble, Evelyn returned with a look he didn't expect. She told him Nicholas Dalton had personally reviewed Lily's case. The billionaire wasn't just going to fund her treatment, he wanted Aaron to bring Lily to the estate medical wing the next morning. The foundation would cover everything, from hospital visits to travel expenses. Aaron blinked, hardly believing the words. Evelyn explained that Nicholas was moved not just by the medical urgency but by something Aaron didn't even know existed, a letter from Lily written months ago, thanking the charity for helping my daddy because he never stops trying. The next morning, Aaron carried Lily into the estate's private clinic. She was small, wrapped in a light sweater, her eyes tired but still curious. When Nicholas Dalton finally appeared, he wasn't the intimidating billionaire Aaron expected. He was gentle, soft-spoken, with a kind heaviness in his eyes. He studied Lily with genuine concern, kneeling beside her instead of towering over her. He talked to her like she was the most important person in the room, asking about her drawings, her favorite color, what she wanted to be when she grew up. Aaron watched them, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in months, the warmth of being seen, of being helped without judgment, of knowing he wasn't alone in this fight anymore. As the weeks passed, Lily's condition began to stabilize. The swelling reduced, her fevers became less frequent, and she started smiling again, real smiles that reached her eyes. Nicholas checked in often, always asking if she was comfortable, always reminding Aaron that he was doing an incredible job as a father. For the first time in a long time, Aaron felt like the world had handed him something other than struggle. He found himself waking up each morning with gratitude instead of fear. Months later, after Lily completed her treatment cycle, Nicholas invited Aaron and Lily to the garden behind the estate. It was sunset, gold and soft, with the fountain water catching the light like scattered diamonds. Nicholas told Aaron that he admired him not for his scars or his past, but for the way he loved his daughter. He said the world needed more fathers like him. Aaron felt a lump rise in his throat. He had spent years feeling invisible, underestimated, overlooked. Yet here he was, heard and valued by a man who could have ignored him without consequence. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means more than you know. And just before we end, please take a moment to comment something kind, something you wish someone had said to you on your hardest day. Your words might be the reason someone else holds on. Aaron walked out of the Dalton estate that evening carrying Lily in his arms, the world around them glowing with the soft promise of a better future. He didn't feel like the wrong man anymore. He felt like a father who fought, who endured, who never gave up. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like life was finally fighting beside him too.